Do we have any Livewire fans in the audience? Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, we're going to keep going. Do we have any Alpine JS fans in the audience? Yeah, that's what I thought. What about the new Flux UI kit? Yeah? All right, and here's a deep cut. You got to let me finish it, because if I just say the first word, you're going to cheer, and it's sushi. Wait, not just sushi. Sushi, the missing array driver for Eloquent. Do we have any sushi fans? Yeah, old school. I love that one. Okay, so obviously who I'm talking about is Caleb Porzio. Caleb Porzio is the creator of Livewire and Alpine JS, and he has been cooking something for Livewire 4, and I have no idea what it is. He's keeping it under wraps. I keep telling people, talk about the things you're doing, and he's like, I'm not going to talk about it yet. But today, he is here to talk about it. Please welcome Caleb Porzio. Hey, how's it going? Denver. All right. So today we're going to be announcing Sushi 4. Sushi 4! All right. Let's do it. Get a clicker here. Okay. Oh, a screen. Is my screen somewhere? You see it? All right. Livewire 4. All right, I got two things to get out of the way here to put your mind at ease, because you're going to be in awe, but you're also going to be like filled with dread, because you're like, oh, and then I got to upgrade everything and change everything, and why did he do that? But this is not a rewrite. I'm not rewriting the whole code base. I'm being a good boy. Yeah? I know. It's not going to take another year. And no breaking changes. Mostly no breaking changes. Mostly no breaking changes so far. Pretty much all of V4 is in honestly like a separate folder, and we're kind of feature flagging it on as we're developing it. So this time we're pretty dedicated to making sure that when you do upgrade, you can just keep, your app will keep running, and then you can opt in all the new fun stuff. Okay, so in the beginning, there was a simple, beautiful artisan command. PHP artisan make Livewire show profile. But show profile is too realistic of a component. So we're going to use counter, because that's what you should be building in Livewire. So make Livewire counter. It was a simpler time. You run this command, and you get two files in your project. You get a class in your app directory, and you get a view in your resources directory. Everybody's happy. Who makes their Livewire components like this right now? Classic. Okay. So then we had make Volt counter. So Volt comes out and goes, these files are in two totally separate places. Let's bring them together and put them into one place, one single file. There's a lot of advantages to that. So Volt comes out, and the crowd goes wild. Mateus is sold. And then there's let's give it up for Volt, Yeah, all right. And then there's some folks, maybe some of you that aren't clapping, that had a little, like some nuanced, respectful, but nuanced takes on Reddit. This sucks and I hate you is the gist. So what is this like, as the creator of a framework, to have this kind of discord among the community? So-and-so's doing this, so-and-so's doing that. They say this is good, they say this is bad, you should do this, you should do that. And it just leaves me on it transparently with this feeling, just this like kind of grave feeling that Livewire is completely and totally forked. The whole community, it's forked. There's 3 different ways to make a Livewire component. There's the Volt's functional, there's Volt's class-based, and there's the traditional. And this is not good for newcomers, it's not good for old-timers, and everybody's guessing what's the best way. So I solved it. I thought really long and hard and thought, okay, how can we unify this experience? And so I did, and I want to show you, and I'm very excited, and we created a 4th way to make Livewire components. Let's go. All right, so artisan make Livewire counter. By default in V4, what happens? Basically that single file class-based Volt component, I'm just going to stop calling it Volt. It's Livewire now. We wrote a parser for it. And you got your class in there, and you got your view right below it. And this feels really good. You can co-locate things. One change that I wanted to make, though, is when you see a component in your template, you have to have this calculus of like, where is the source for this component? Is it in the Livewire directory? Is it in the Blade Components directory? Is it in the app directory, rendering? It's too much. So I want it to be really clean. Like when you see a component, Blade or Livewire, you look in the same place. What's the best name for a directory where your components go? Components. So they're in components right alongside your Blade components. And I want it to feel like you start with a Blade component and then you upgrade it to Livewire when you need it upgraded or whatever. Another thing I hear is like questions about page or project structure. Like, how do you structure your project? Do you put everything in components? Do you put it all in app? Whatever. So now we have just very like subtle new opinions for you. Pages and layouts. There's new folders. They're automatically namespaced. So if you're creating a page and you're routing directly to it, you throw it in pages and then you reference a layout. And then same, components is the default directory for all your components. So I'm excited about that. But one thing that bugs me about this experience is there's two Blade files, but these are different. One's a Blade component, one's a Livewire component. And it bugs me because you have to look at the source code to find that out. I don't like that. So it's like, it'd be nice if we had some way to differentiate just by looking in the sidebar. So I came up with two solutions. I'll show you the right one first. Let's do the right solution. You ready for this? Okay. .livewire.php. This is the right, .livewire.php. This is the right thing to do. But with many things, there's the right way and there's the cool way. Do you want to be right or do you want to be cool? Prepare yourself. All right. Here we go. All right, we're doing something here to me. Artisan make Livewire. Hey, artisan make Livewire counter. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to pass this well-named flag. And we're going to hit enter. And check this out. Whoa. What the heck? What is going on? What do you think about that? Give it up for the bolt emoji. I know you clapped against your will there. I know you did. Because you're looking at this and you're going, this is interesting, but like, what? Caleb, where's the precedent for a character at the beginning of a file name differentiating that file from other files? SvelteKit, Next, they all do it. We can do it. But an emoji, though? Does that even work on Windows? Who cares if it doesn't work on Windows? I don't care. This is Caleb's way. No, it's Unicode. This is a Unicode emoji. It's in all your file systems, works on Windows, Git, everything. I actually forgot that I had this idea and was amped about it. Like, Taylor probably remembers, like a year or two ago, right? I sent you this. I did it in the Livewire docs for fun. And it's just been live, and it works on Git and Forge and everything. And yeah, all right. So this is going to be a hard sell for the bolt emoji. Buckle up. Caleb, there's no precedent for an emoji in a file name. Check this out. This is Mojo. It's literally a programming language written by the Swift guy. Look at this file extension. Look at that, right? But ultimately, it's like, this is fun. Why can't we have nice, fun things? We're all going to be out of jobs anyway. Like, right? Like, when did we stop having fun? We're on our way out. Let's have fun on our way out with emojis. All right, I'm going to keep going. Caleb, the half talks about emojis. But now I ruined the alphanumeric. That's a feature. Now your Livewire components are at the top, and when you search them, you can find them. All right, no more hard sell. Let's build this component. I know you're all converted. No notes. You love it. This is a counter component. You got some state. You got your methods, increment, decrement. You've seen this a million times, right? All right, this is all working. We're good. One thing that we did that I really like about these single files, should I make this bigger? Do you like it bigger? Yeah. All right, so scripts. So now you don't need @script, and you can add a script tag, just a naked script tag to the bottom of this file. And we also changed $wire to this dot. Again, this isn't a breaking change. $wire still works for you out there who were mad about that, about me breaking it. So it's this dot watch, and there's a lot of cool things that you can do here. Like, we're watching count for a change, and we're console logging count changed to, oh, I was supposed to snooze cursor. Get out of here. Okay, none of that. Count changed to this dot count. Look in the console. I go up and down, and it says count changed to. So it's really nice. And we added a bunch of things. Like, here's one that I don't have time to show you in depth, but we have interceptors where you can just intercept any action. So anything you have wire click, you can intercept it, and you can do literally anything. Like, you can hook into every part of the request before it's sent, after it's sent, before the response is received, and store some like scroll state, and then after the page changes, then do something else. We got this hook is like the solution that you can cancel the request. you can make like a confirmation modal and use these interceptors to do that. But all right, so that's what we got there. Okay, single file thing, I get it. Half of you, maybe most of you are like, this is not for me. Too many things in one file. IDEs suck at it. I'll give you that. Totally. Your IDE doesn't know what to do with this. That's no good. Also, it gets big and it doesn't feel good. So how do we make everybody happy? This is what I got. Artisan, make, Livewire. You're not gonna hate this. No, MFC. So multi-file component. So you can upgrade. You start with a single file component. Really easy, really nice. Then you say, I want to make a Livewire component. It goes, hey, that exists. Do you want to convert it to a multi-file component? Totally, I do. And now check this out. Now that's a directory with the zap. Yep. That's actually what I love about the zap is now the directory, like you can link it and go like, oh, this is a Livewire component. So yeah, so we got separate files in here like counter.php. This is a pure PHP file. There's nothing magical. That's an anonymous class with a semicolon and the file extension is .php. Your editor knows exactly what to do with it. Same as with the blade file. And the JavaScript gets put into a separate file. And we're being like really smart about the JavaScript now. We rewrote that little section of the code base. So these JavaScript files are actually served as ES6 modules, the same stuff that like a code splitting JavaScript system would do to your front end. So when you load this JavaScript, it gets cached and any component that uses it, it already has the JavaScript. You can use, I'll just show you here. So if I like reload this page and we look at JS, let's do that again. Come on, JS. There we go. Counter.js. I literally wrap it in export function run, and then we run it. And you can use native ESX imports. So if JavaScript is something that you do in Livewire and you feel like it was maybe a little too sandboxy before, now it's just like straight, raw, pure JavaScript. Okay, so the last thing about these multi-file components that I love, what I realized is I don't hate multiple files. I love co-location. When I'm working on a thing, I just want to know where to look to work to like at all the stuff that's related to that thing. This is Caleb's single responsibility principle. A single responsibility should be in a single place, like not spread all over your code base. So I think this makes me happy and still gives us that multi-file thing. Along those lines of co-location is putting your tests in these components directly. And if you've not done this or if this feels bad to you, it's one of those things you'll love because you're often like working on a page and you just want all the tests right there. So we have that. And it uses Livewire's testing stuff by default. It uses Pest. It works great. So Nuno and I are like swapping talk. So I looked at Pest, he looked at Livewire like last week. And he shows me Pest, and I'm obviously, his talk was insane. Like, we're all just going to use that now, right? Like Pest 4 for everything, right? Pest 4 at Nuno's talk. That was legendary. So I see this, and I'm like, this is insane. This is totally going to smash. I'm going to use it. But how do we make this really awesome with Livewire? And Nuno goes, he's like, dude, give me, like, that's my Nuno impression. It's just one word. You can use it. It's just, dude. And he's like, give me 3 hours, man. And he goes away to class. This is like 5 days ago. And he goes away and he does it, and I didn't have to do anything. So the clap is for Nuno, not me. Livewire visit counter, and you can do all your browser stuff just with normal Pest 4. That just ran a headless browser. Yeah, right there. It's like the easiest thing in the world. I'm going to throw on that debug because, you got to touch it to really, So yeah, so that's that. Totally headless. Oh, that had a head, but so beautiful. Love it so much. And Nuno last week, maybe like 3 days ago, I don't know if Nuno's Nuno, a few days ago, yeah, he's like, dude, don't Composer update. He's like, literally before your talk. So I literally have not been able to touch Composer, but we're locked in. So that's great. Super stoked about it. That's a new pitch. This is not set in stone. Obviously, this lightning bolt emoji, I'm the only one who likes it, but we're going to figure out something for the community that everybody feels good about so we can move forward in a unified way. Let's get into the good stuff that everybody will love. Okay, getters and setters in PHP 8.4. So I don't know if you guys have seen this. Who's seen the property getter setter hooks, like property hooks in 8.4? Yeah, they're awesome. And I saw them, like you see them kind of fly by the RFC and you go, someday maybe I can use that. But I'm working on this talk and turns out they're actually sick, and they changed the way that you work on your Livewire components because Livewire components are all about the properties. That's your state. So check this out. I have a counter. It's the same thing, count, right? But here I can go up and down, and that's bad for whatever reason I'll make up. We don't want to go into negative, okay? How would you do this in Livewire? Maybe an updating hook. We have those. You could add an updating hook watch for that property, intercept it, and do whatever you want. But now we basically don't need updating hooks before. Check this out. Set, yep, arrow, max 1 value. And now we'll just absorb this for a second. Let me zoom in, just kind of sit with it. If you haven't seen this, this is pure PHP. I didn't do any of this, okay? There's a short syntax and a long syntax. The short syntax, great. Value is kind of magical. It just is the value that's about to be set. So we got that, and refresh, and now we go up, but we can't go down. And we didn't have to do anything. And it's like at the PHP level. Like, those are my favorite things, that a new feature, a new way of doing something that solves problems, but I don't have to add a new feature and an API and a piece of documentation for. All right, second favorite is getters. So you can have pure getters. This is my new favorite way to get properties into my blade views. You just make a pure getter for it and then reference it. So let's make multiple, and this is going to get, and the great thing about getters is you can access other state. So we'll say this count times 5, and then in here we say, we'll show times 5, and then the multiple. We reload this, and now we have a multiple. This could replace computed properties, but, you know, to the eagle-eyed, computed properties memoize the call for the duration of the request. But you can use spotsies once. We could add a helper, you know, that does something that's like, if you do an expensive database call here, you're ensured that it's only going to ever get called once. So that's cool. Let's combine them together for caching. So take a look at this. This is count 1, but we're intercepting the get, and we're saying prioritize from the cache. This is just Laravel helpers, nothing else. And then intercept the set and put that in the cache. Keep that max 1, like we can still keep that in line. And now I upgrade that, and I start hitting refresh, and bada bing, it just keeps. And I think that's super cool. There's ways we could do this currently with attributes, like we could do cache or something, but the hurdle with attributes is you can't do like runtime code. So if I say key, you can't do like auth ID, like that's impossible. So this is a way that we can still have something elegant that feels good, but access runtime code. All right, so that's, that's property stuff. There's one real random like cool thing that I think that probably 0 people know about in this audience. One person knows. This is asymmetric property scope. You can do this where you say this property is public to get, but you protect the set. So you could view it, but then you can't mutate it. It'll say cannot modify protected set property. So like this replaces the locked attribute. I don't know. I was just excited about all of these new PHP 8.4 features that I'm going to use in my components. So give it up for the PHP crew. Okay? Yeah. All right. Let me show you another little kind of paper cut thing. Loading indicators in Livewire. So right now, if you want to show a loading indicator, we have wire loading, which I already think is good. Like, it's a really easy way to just show an element when a network request is out. But you get into a little bit of trouble when you try to associate it with a very specific action, with specific action parameters. And I've been trying to dream up like a new way, something that could be, that I could use in Flux, honestly. And let me show it to you. So take a look at this. I'm going to look at the source for this button. Here's button wire click save. Okay, you see that? Got that? All right, watch that source code. I'm going to click save. And in Livewire 4, any element that triggers a network round trip from a human will receive a data-loading attribute for the duration of that request. And what this means is now you can do whatever you want with that. And Tailwind 4 has all of these really nice features for working with this pattern. So watch this. If I want to make this button transparent while the request is out, I would say class equals data-loading. You can just do this like straight in Tailwind. It detects the data thing. Data-loading, opacity 50, okay? Now, let's zoom in on that. We do that, and then it's opacity 50 while the network is out. And this is also awesome because if you make components, if you make like a button component, you have to do a lot of like, are they passing a wire click in, and what's the value of that? And we'll add, you know, this is just, your components can be totally agnostic of anything. Just a little bit of Tailwind inline, and you get a bunch of stuff. Another cool thing about it is, let's say inside of this element, you want to do like this icon loading I want to show. I can say in data loading, what did we on? Block, yeah. So in data loading block, and now it's going to show if it's in data loading, and this is just built into Tailwind. We can take it even, you ever run into this where you have something where you go, I got to make it hidden by default, and then I have to block it, and it just feels like the opposite of good. It's like you want it to be just hidden because it's like, oh, you also add flex, and then you get tripped up because now you're making it block. Anyway, does anybody know what I'm talking about? Am I talking to, okay, a couple people know. That's cool. Well, this is really cool. You could say not in data loading hidden, and this is all valid Tailwind, and now that'll happen. And then the inverse of it is also available, where you could say, like, if this element has data loading inside of it, then make the whole thing like opacity 0 and transition opacity or something. And you can get like really kind of sophisticated, weird experiences that make no sense. And here is actually something that wasn't possible before in Livewire, now is if you have two elements that fire the exact same action. Before, we didn't really have a way to differentiate those two loading states. Now it's associated with the element. You can't even see it. But just assume you saw it and you're excited about it. So that fixes a problem that I've had. The doubles, anybody encountered that in Livewire, a double loading indicator, where like 10 buttons start loading because they all say the same thing? Yeah, this solves that. So I'm excited about that. Let's keep going. One more kind of goodie here. Livewire is missing slots, right? Like since day one. And that's been a super highly wanted and requested feature for a long time. And I don't know how else to dress it up, but we got them. So Livewire modal. I guess before I do that, let me back that out. We got a form. I should set this up. You got a form, you save it, you get some validation message, right? You want to put it inside a modal. So now you can do that. Livewire modal. Okay. So now it's inside a modal. Everything works as you would expect. You can still make requests. And if you look at the modal source, it's, again, this is nothing like, this is exactly how you would expect it to work. It's just echo slot, just like a blade component. We also have attribute forwarding now for your Livewire components. So you could just pass in like a class or something and it'll forward those attributes. Yeah, so that's modals. It seems like this should be an easy thing to do, but honestly, it's one of the hardest parts about building Livewire 4, because there's all, like, if you think about it, a Livewire component is its own little isolated unit that goes back to the server. So if one component passes a part of itself into another component, when that component re-renders, what happens? Does it bring that slot over? And when the parent re-renders, there's all these questions, but we thought really hard about it and we solved it the right way. And the cool way, and we added these HTML markers also so that we know, like, hey, wire submit save belongs to this other component, not the one that has the slot. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but we did that and we're excited. And one other kind of missing piece when we were working on this is we have the modal, but let's say after you save the form, so like right here, it validates and then we fill it out and we hit save, but you want to close the modal. So how would you do this? I would dispatch a close event, and then the modal would listen for the close event globally or something. But then you run into weird things where like multiple modals are reacting to one close event. It's like you want to talk directly to a child, and you know that child. So we have this wire ref modal. We have refs in Livewire now, and then you could do something like dispatch close to the ref modal. So now when you fill this thing out like this, fill it out. And it closes, right? Because it dispatched and then it did it to the ref. So there you go. That's refs, that's slots, that's attributes. What do you think? Yeah, gotta have them. Gotta have them. Okay, that's the part of the talk of all the new stuff and the way you might use Livewire a little differently. This is the part of the talk where I address something. Livewire, people say, my Livewire app is slow. And it's like, well, okay, well, what do you mean by that? And it's like, is it the database query inside the loop, inside the blade file, inside the app container callback in your Livewire component that's slow? Or is it something else? There's like so many ways that you could use and abuse Livewire. And if you don't know the ins and outs, you can like step on those rakes. And so my second mission here is like, so unify the component experience, but also make it so that, Livewire's, the reason I love it is it's insanely fast to build stuff and fun and cool now to build stuff. But if you don't know the ins and outs, you might step on a rake or two and your app might be slow. So I want to make it so that it's just as fast to build stuff and then the thing you build is also really fast. So I made a dystopian page in Livewire 3. This is in a separate app on my machine. Livewire 3, it's basically broken. I tried to deploy all the worst practices I could think of. It's called jank. So I already clicked it. You can't tell. Give it time. All right, well, let's just see how long that took to load. So that was 2.5 seconds. That's a bummer. It's a big data table. It has like a country select in each item. You could tell that, I'm setting us up here for just way too many blade components. And there's something polling up here. And the thing that's polling is slow. And it's polling, and if I click something else while it's polling, nothing happens until the poll comes back, and then it happens. And then when it's finished, the poll comes back again and trips it up again. So the whole thing is basically blocked. Everything's blocked. It feels almost unusable. I click download. I don't even get a download. I wait. There it is. It's completely broken. We're going to fix it all. It's going to be great. Okay, the first thing to tackle here is the polling story. So Jess Archer used Livewire for Laravel Pulse, and she paired with me on it when she got to this point, and all of the cards in Pulse that had those analytics, they're polling to refresh, because it's a really nice feature in Livewire. You add one little thing and now your thing is live. But we wrote it kind of in a naive way. Like, the poll is just like any other request in a Livewire component. And Livewire component requests are on a bus. They happen in serial, one after the other in series, one after the other, so that we don't end up with divergent states, But a poll is like a background request. There's no reason it should hold anything up. So let me open up polling, boom, add that wire poll, 4 seconds, refresh this page. So now in Livewire 4, this is going to go dark for a second, and I'm going to click this button, and it happens right away. Let's look at the network tab and see what happened here. So the poll is out, ready? Oh, not JavaScript requests. Let's wait for another poll to go out. Now I'm going to hit another action, and it just canceled the request. So in Livewire, we rewrote the request system to prioritize human-initiated inputs. If a human did something, we go, forget everything else. The human just did something. Make it happen right away so that you don't end up in these blocked states. Polling. Okay, so that's Livewire is slow number 1. Livewire is slow number 2. This is actually Flux is slow. Wrote Flux, put it out. Everybody loves it. Few people said Flux is slow, and I went, oh no, what did I do? What did I put in those components? And I was like, well, it's an experiment. Let's rewrite them all, or just make them all blade components. They're basically blade components. It's still slow, but it's not really slow for me, but I get it. Like, if I do the reproduction from the person that submitted it, it's a big page, it's kind of slow. So let's dig into it. Is it slow? Is a blade component slow? So here's a blade component called card. It's a blade component that just accepts a simple slot. It renders a div. It does almost nothing. And I'm running it 25,000 times. And we're going to look at the time, and you're going to think, oh, that's a lot of time, but I'm never rendering 25,000 components. You are. I almost guarantee it. You'd be surprised. If you have a table with 100 items or something, and each one has a modal with a form, with a button, with an icon, it adds up so fast. So 25,000 blade components rendered in a loop. Half a second, so 508 milliseconds to render that. It's like, ooh, that's slow. But Blade compiles, when it compiles itself, it caches those compiled files. Because of course, PHP can't run Blade, right? It has to compile itself into pure PHP. So let's run it again. And now Laravel has already done the work of compiling it. It's faster, but it's still pretty freaking slow. You want your request to be 100 milliseconds. The server part, you want it to be even less. So this is unacceptable. So I thought, okay, Blade components are slow. Why is that? I wonder, why are they slow? Maybe it's because they're all separate files, and including separate files is slow. Is that why? Well, let's just include that exact Blade file and run it 25,000 times. All right, so now it's 274 milliseconds, which is better, but it's still slow. It was well, let's just verify and make sure. Let's do a pure PHP require of that file 25,000 times. Holy crap, 26 milliseconds. So that's way faster. So it wasn't that. And let's just for fun, what's a div and an echo statement 25,000 times? 21 milliseconds. Okay, so what are the lessons here? The lessons for me are PHP is freaking fast at string concatenation. It was born to take your HTML and stitch it together with dynamic stuff. That's fast, right? Somebody agree? Yes? That's pretty freaking fast. I mean, clap for PHP. So yeah, 21 milliseconds, right? And then the require statement, that kind of busted the myth of the files because of op cache. Your server has op cache, your local dev environment has op cache. It just basically makes it like almost no overhead to require a file, so that's gone. So what's all this? What's going on here? Well, let's look at the Blade compiler. So if I just take a div with an echo statement and compile it in Blade, running it through its total, compiler, this is what shows up. This is the PHP that gets executed. So it's super simple, and this is the thing that's fast. Now let's look at the thing that's slow and see what comes out. Okay, so there's a lot. Granted, right, there's a lot of stuff you go, that's a lot of lines. This stuff's like free. But there are just a few things, like resolving the view, taking a view name, looking up in the app container, looking up all the things with your registered views and everything and finding it. And then there's array merges and there's things, the Laravel team has done a lot to make it as fast as it can be. I tried to make it even faster, and it's like, you can't really even do much to make it faster at that level. It's just kind of part of it. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. That's why it's slow. It's not like, well, all right, what do we do? How do we make this faster? So I'm going to cut to the punchline, and then I'll explain about it. But I wrote a thing, it's called Blaze. This isn't a separate project in the sense that you're not going to start making Blaze components. I don't want you to really even have to think about it. You just include it, maybe you opt into it, we got to figure some of that out. But you add Blaze in your project, and it sits right in front of Blade. And it goes, hey, Blade's about to compile this thing, can I optimize it? And it does some stuff. So I just included Blaze, now I'm going to run that 25,000 Blade components, it's still running the Blade components, and it's 19 milliseconds. It's even faster, which is just because of machine noise. It's the exact same. So let me show you now, if we compile this Blade component, what shows up in Blade's compiled view with Blaze installed. So we've actually just gone back to the pure thing. So this is a technique called code folding. Like, we could have used aggressive caching, but then you have all the caching problems. The cache is going to get huge. It's a whole thing. Code folding is a technique where you look at a template, you identify parts of it that aren't ever going to change in production. Like that card, that div's never changing. All your Tailwind classes that you pass in everywhere, those aren't changing. The thing that changes is your echo statements. So we basically look at the static parts and we go, we can actually render that at compile time. And then it just goes away. It's like vaporizing your Blade components so that there's zero runtime overhead. This is a technique that a lot of frameworks already use in their component systems. It's called code folding. And I add this little note here that goes, hey, this file has a code folded component. Here's the source, and here's its file modified time. If they update the file, bust that cache, refold it. So I think this is a massive hack. Like, it massively speeds up pages, and I'm pretty pumped about it. And the internals is a whole other talk. It's a tokenized parser that makes an abstract syntax tree of your entire Blade template, and it knows everything about everything and does a bunch of stuff. And I'll leave it at that. Yeah. So let's look at Blaze on a real page. So I'm going to load this Blaze page. Let's actually look at the Blaze page first. So Blaze, Blaze. Yeah, oh, I didn't mention this. It's not even a Livewire component. This is just Blade. So this will help Blade too, Enflux, and anything that uses Blade. That page is literally route view. Like, I didn't even use Livewire. So this is the route view blaze.php, and you look at it. This is what I'm about to show you load. And it's just a bunch of, Blade components that are mostly static and occasionally have something inside of them. So let's run Blaze. Here we go. We run it. Okay. This is not Blaze. This is running Blaze without Blaze. And we look at X or whatever this thing is called, debug bar. And we got 1.6 seconds, okay, for the page load. And we have 29,000 views. I include Blaze. I refresh the page. And now when I look at it, it's 131 milliseconds for that entire page. And it's 100 Blade views. Yeah. So I'm so stoked about this because I believe so much in Flux that it's the best way to make apps. And it's just, that's my mission, is make this thing that's soup to nuts. You can trust that your app is going to be well designed and accessible and everything, but it has to be fast. And this was standing in my way. If your apps built in Flux are going to be slow because of a big data table, that's not okay. So Blaze is the solution to that. You sprinkle it in, and it just, it makes it fast. It's pretty great. Okay, so that's number 2 when we're talking about making Livewire faster. Number 3, and finally, is islands. So Islands is a new feature I'm pretty stoked about. Let's take a look at this page. This page combines, the other pages. We have the data table down here, and we have the analytics up here. It's pretty much the same setup as the dystopian jank page that you saw before. And this is using Livewire 4 now. And it's pretty fine. It's fast because it's got Blaze and everything. We render the revenue chart up here, and then we render the table below and put them all in a loop. And we have basic getters for the data, okay? The one thing you should know is that account revenue takes a full second. I just have a sleep in there for a second so that it simulates like a slow database query, okay? So if I hit generate right now, how long is this gonna take? A second, because it has to re-render the whole page and get that stuff out of the database. So I hit generate, and now that generate thing that really didn't have to get all the data from up here, it did, because it generated the thing and it re-rendered everything. And now a download also takes a full second. Everything is held up. There's a bottleneck on this page, and it's this expensive revenue part. Now, there are ways to address this right now, like in Livewire. Any of you using Livewire, you probably know this and do this. There's an expensive part of this page. I'll isolate it into its own subcomponent, but then you're accepting a bunch of trade-offs, like passing props and listening to events and things like that, right? So I wanted all the benefit of that technique with none of the trade-offs. So check this out. Say island, and I must indent this. And now we've taken an expensive part of our template, we put it on an island, and it doesn't interfere with the rest of the component. So I can refresh, and that still takes a second, but now I hit generate, and it's instant. And I hit download, and it happens right away, because it's just ignoring the island entirely. Yeah, so that's islands. And I just love that API. Like, this is island, like we could just stop here for islands and it would still be really valuable. It's this very simple little thing, but it's powerful. It's not faking anything. It's taking that part of your blade template and extracting it so that that's truly the only thing that gets run. So when that island is run, like this button inside here, we're like intelligent about it. We're going, this button is inside the island. He clicked a button in the island, we re-render just the island. You don't have to target it and such. So that's great, islands are great, but they still hold up the page load because by default, you're rendering the entire page at once. So if I run this page, it still takes that full second to load. But of course, just like a nested component, you could say lazy true. And now, oops, is that, yep, okay. Now I refresh and it loads instantly, and then it comes in after the page load. But that looked horrible because it's like janky and there's no placeholder. So we add a placeholder. At placeholder, revenue placeholder, a little blade component, just inline. You could put whatever you want here, any divs, anything. And now you get a beautiful little skeleton loader, and then it comes in, and it's just really nice. Yeah. Nice. Let's keep going with islands. You can pull them. This is something that I was taking, did anybody see the Primogen stream where Taylor went to the Primogen and they streamed? No, it was an awesome stream. You should have seen it. Come on. But I was taking notes the whole time, and one of the things that they thought you could do is put wire pull on a single element, and it would somehow like just re-pull that element, and that's really not how it works, but now this is that. You can pull an island, and it will only pull itself. So we'll just add some polling in there so that we're maxing it out here. Okay, so that's islands in a nutshell. When you use them for extracting expensive parts of your template, we can push them a little bit farther and do something that was previously impossible in Livewire. So here's a bunch of results and a load more button, okay? I'm gonna put all those results on their own island. So at island, and then end island right here, okay? And we're gonna give this island a name. We're gonna call it reports. And now this button, I'm gonna associate with that island. Because you think about it, the button's outside the island, so you have to say, hey button, you belong to the island. When somebody clicks you, re-render that island. So I'm going to say wire island reports. Okay. So now we got the reports island right here, and then we're targeting it right here. Lot to take in, but it's going to be sweet. We got wire click paginator next page. You haven't even seen paginator. This is in Livewire 4. It's a little Alpine helper that you can just access the paginator instance and manipulate it. So right now, as it is, just take this in. I hit load more, and it's advancing the next page of the paginator. This is just basically a next page button at this point, okay? Where it gets really awesome is if we change the render mode of an island. Islands by default are replacing themselves every time there's a new island request. but you can actually change that mode and say, when this button is clicked, go advance the next page, but append the results instead of replacing them. And now you get an actual true load more button that only fetched the exact amounts out of the database it needed to. It only rendered the exact amount of blade that it needed to, sent that amount over the wire, and patched it into the DOM. So it's as performant as you could possibly make this. It's not getting worse and worse as you load more and more. Does that make sense? You could prepend. So if you need infinite pagination up, like ChatGPT or something, you could prepend results as well. We also have crazy stuff that I have no time to even demo, like preserve scroll when you're prepending up so it doesn't jank your page, like really fun stuff. But let me do one more little thing for you, and I think this is the last thing, is just, click. That's lame, right? Come on, 2025. No, not intercept. Intersect. Wire intersect instead of click, and now, using intersection observer, you have infinite pagination. Yeah. And it's just so easy. Like, it feels like this really basic primitive that when you learn the basics, you can mix and match and change its rendering mode, target a different island. Remember that whole demo where I was showing you all the benchmarking of the blade stuff? Those are all islands. It's just one component, and all those pieces are islands, so I could easily isolate that thing and just measure that. So you're gonna love islands, and what it gives us between islands and blaze and the polling stuff, now we have a page that loads instantly, stays hyper-reactive always, even when there's a poll. There, you can hit download any of these. Everything just stays super reactive. It renders like 10 times faster. It's just everything I want. It's fast, it's reactive, and we didn't have to actually add much because we got a lot of it for free. So this is Livewire 4, basically. What do you think? We like Livewire 4. Yeah, so that's it. Huge shout out to Josh Hanley and Hugo. Josh Hanley's my man. He works for Livewire full-time now. So he's been working on Livewire 4 full-time with me. It's going to happen a lot faster because of that. And you probably already know him. He's so helpful. He helps you on GitHub. He helps you in the Flux issues. He goes through Flux issues and email support every day. So Livewire finally feels like a nice, responsible business that replies to people and fixes stuff. Thanks, Josh Hanley. And yeah, give it up for Josh. He's the man. I wish he could be here. And then my man Hugo, he hooked me up with some nice slide design. I just design things that are bad. I send them to Hugo, and it forces him to design them better. But he's the man. Everything in Flux looks beautiful because of Hugo. So he's that second piece of the puzzle. So huge thanks to these guys, and thanks to you guys. Appreciate it. Read it.
All right. Well done.
Yeah, good job. There you go. I appreciate it.
All right, very quickly, what's your favorite new feature to use as a user, and what was your least favorite one to write as an author?
Oh, islands all day. Best feature. Love it so much. You can do, it's like Legos. You can nest them. You can do crazy stuff. What was the second question?
The least favorite one as the author that you had to write.
Hard things are really fun. So the Blaze stuff was insane, and I burnt like a month and a half on it easily. And I chased my tail, and getting it, I got it to kind of work. And then I installed it in the Flux app, and then getting that to not break was like a whole other journey. So, but yeah, we'll say that. We'll say Blaze.
I like it. It looks like it works. Everybody give it up for Caleb.
Thanks, guys.